Hello there.
If you clicked on this video, you probably already know what Sonic.Exe/exe is to begin with. So let's get to the point. Designs. These can widely range from wild spaces. After all, it's just something everyone can do, but it does depend on the way what they do with it that makes it stand out amongst the rest. Now, I also want to heavily emphasize that we all by means should never attack or harass each other over spooky hedgehog or cutesy or some other designs. To go out of your way to harass anyone over it or call their idea stupid doesn't help anyone constructively. Also, do feel free to leave your opinions in the comments. If you like more of this content while I work on Under the Flesh, then leaving a like or subscribing will do wonders. Thank you and enjoy the video. And without further ado, let's get reviewing now, shall we?
Okay, what do I say here? It's made in MS Paint, it's crusty as hell, and the colors are just bad. Sure, the gray shoes could be cool, but obviously 2011X does it better, and yada yada. I don't think I need to tell you. Now this is where it stands. But not with this design, rather this design. The points and extra wide grin and slightly darker colors all add up to feel like a fully realized evil Sonic. And while it may not be personally scary to me, it feels like it keeps Sonic's radical attitude inside, while just massacring the face to be more animalistic and a little bit horrifying. And as he grows old, back into the classic he shrinks into, he's now an old entity. Now, to be honest, I really do like the fact that this is just 2011X, but older, and a bit more refined and horror in some cases, such as no longer having the sharp teeth, and instead having uncomfortable human teeth, and guns, and an X carved into his crusty old man belly, meant to show the passage of time, as well as the extra hairs on the side of his face. While again, I wouldn't say the character is scary per se, it's just a very neat design seeing a canon older EXE who happens to have a son, and hates their son. You don't see that much often. And not to mention the Guardians. Though that's a topic for another video, cause there's already too much here. But let it be on record, I love the Guardian designs, and I'm really curious about the upcoming designs of the Guardians when they're younger. Can't wait to see that soon. So, a major improvement over the original look for starters. One of the larger aspects of his design is that he looks like he's made out of modeling clay. Oddly shiny, darker color blue, and more paler skin. And if overwhelmed with emotion, his eyes begin to break like glass while having hints of smoke coming out of the broken eyes and some shining reds that hint of the EXE. And his behavior is really different, thinking he's the real Sonic. And when flat out rejected, the second form is revealed, making him look like a statue that has been crunched and stretched wide by something underneath. As of now, there are some sort of tweaks happening to the design from what I understand, but it's not out yet, so I can't really, critique it yet until it comes out. But I am really curious on what is going to be next. Oh boy, this is going to be a hefty one. This take was very interesting for me at the time, when the whole VHS buzz was happening and a lot of analog horror stories were forming. Something that hasn't been pointed out on this design is that it changed over time. We see a normal Sonic that just has a weird smile, and with their first design, they did have white shoes, muzzle, and eyes. But over the time, more colors were added, such as orange, magenta, and the muzzle had been more stretched out to feel more weird. As for her human form, also known as Sarah Henderson, she's honestly a pretty simple but good design. Black messy hair, purple sweater matching the purple fur, and the socks kinda coincidentally matching 2011X's shoe color. Though I don't think that's related, so we're just gonna move on. As for when both of the designs try to be scary on the other hand, I don't really mean to be mean, but it's just not effective. When the Needle Mouse design tries to be scary, it has that classic EXE look, but the eyes are more shaped to be human, or just have the eyes and mouth be completely black. It doesn't feel unnatural, but more so trying too hard. It's twice the case for the human design. It has some ideas that could work, such as the pale skin, yellow eyes, red sharp teeth, and black claws, but the problem is that the design isn't much of a change, and, again, comes off as trying too hard. But overall, good design, but not really scary. And if you can't tell, yes, this is what brought me back to Exe stuff. Let it be known that I really like this, but I don't agree with everything. Rewrite, I feel, is a good mix of cute, but weird. Being extremely lanky but disconnected at the same time. And the colors are also pretty good, being more bright, and unlike a lot of other EXEs, doesn't really do the whole EXE eyes thing with the bleeding and everything. But instead has the long pupils, which just are eerily off. It feels like it's a cat staring you down with those like sharp diamond pupils. Because of the pixelation in the colors, he feels like he'd fit right at home on being on a Sega Genesis. The other character designs also help to make Rewrite stand out as the least changed design in terms of taking the originals and changing it. Such as Tails being more brown/reddish and having one tail, or Knuckles having more noticeable green clothes and being purple, and Eggman being really off. Overall, Rewrite is a really good design for what it is. As for the spooky designs, I don't know how to feel about it. Meteorita isn't really a scary design. It just feels like they copy and pasted Rewrite, turned it black and white, and then shrunk the eyes and shaped it to be more human, and that was it. It doesn't really do it for me. But the
Kyoke.
Lord, I love how it looks. Everything is broken. The red glitchiness is out of whack, nothing makes sense. And you just look on this digital onslaught of what was once considered even a body. So yeah, I think that explains why a lot of us like this guy. Opinions on the design seem to range a lot within the EXE space, but as for my take on it, I think it has both good design cues and some bad cues. First, I'll go over the good. Personally, the red and limited color palette was what made Fatal Error stand out amongst the others to begin with. Being a tall monster helps, and the belly being an eye itself is pretty cool. The extra limbs help to make the impression of a spider-like insect. And I know what you're gonna say, spiders are arachnids. Shh, we don't talk about that yet. The shading is also really dang good. The tail having more sharp angles is also pretty nice. It feels like it's a knife that's about to stab me. And now we get on to the bad. I don't really like the facial structure. The teeth are a bit too simple and small. It's very rounded and feels like what should be standouts of the face, such as the nose, the eyes, and teeth, are too small. As for the disguise form, it's not any better. For some reason, the head structure is exactly the same as Fatal Error's head design. Granted, that's probably because of the art style, but it still feels like the same head. The colors being the same colors as Sonic also don't help. The colors clash too hard, and the arms and hands being flat out Fatal Error's arms kinda breaks the whole point of his form being a disguise. Unfortunately, I don't have positives about Fatal Error's true form design. What it's supposed to be is a huge glob of AI code and limbs, with the standout being the head, but the way the head looks isn't at all any off-putting. Sure, there's dozens of eyes within its head that could offset someone who has triophobia, but it feels like it's there for no reason. Same reason with the limbs and mouths being all over the globby glue. Overall, I feel like Fatal Error's design is good, and same with the victim designs, but the alternate forms could use some work. This design is very subtle about the changes made. It's more noticeable differences, such as the eyebrow structure, the arms colored blue, and the missing buckle in white on the shoes. So in short, if the design feels off or it's not exactly correct, it's because of the little changes made. Now as for his beast form, again, not scary, a personal thing, but dang, I won't deny that he looks really good. Becoming tall, much paler, and the more familiar Sharpie Tooth grin, just like his old puppy. Another good detail to point out is the merging of the gloves and shoes to the skin, really showing how much of a beast it is and unnatural it is. These two designs are both simple and effective. Now I know this isn't technically an EXE at all, but it's creepy. It's a Sonic. It's a creepy Sonic. This is essentially the same type of situation that Fatal Error has, but instead of absolute red, it's absolute blue. Not as tall or beastly as some of the others, but rather a completely different face and tons of shadow to hide parts of it. Not to mention, during the time, it felt weird and mysterious when everyone first came across him. Just him, across the background, and then the message. Fun is infinite. Just really making you feel odd. Also, the fact that this was supposed to be funny and made in mind with the Japanese boss theme, it makes me question their humor. But the fact that the American version plays its boss theme and how creepy that all is, it just feels like a thunder in a jar situation. As for the fiasco, if it's a mustache or it's shadow, I'll leave that up to you. That's not my place. There was a huge miscommunication of this character back then because a lot of us just sort of assumed that was Mist Crimson's EXE. But thankfully it's all been cleared. Nowadays, we know that this is the Xenophanes. Right from the gate. Not really scary, but I don't think that's the goal of it at all. Rather, it's trying to capture that feeling of punk and some inspiration from Mephilis. While the character is still in development, we have some designs such as his human form that again shows off the punk, and surprisingly feels more fitting for a Sonic character, in all honesty. As for the Hedgehog design, it seems to have a slight tinge of pink in all of its design. Overall, I think the design is pretty neat, and hopefully we'll get to see more of it in the future. This design is so simple, but very effective for what it is. High contrasting colors for the environment, and as for the Hedgehog, who has been named by the community as the End, it's just two colors, black and blue. But the black hole as a face just leaves a ton of questions and the implications around the environment, especially for the fact that when you look into the game files, you find more clues that add on to this feeling of the game. And whatever the hell it means, I'm not decoding all this, somebody else can do that. Just watch these guys instead, they do it much better than me. A quick heads up, please don't take all this advice as if you need to take it. Do whatever you want for your EXE, and what you feel is necessary. There's a noticeable overuse of Sonic as the base for many EXE designs. While Sonic is iconic, there are plenty of other characters in the universe that could be better represent certain concepts, themes, or emotional beats. Sometimes using someone like Tails, Amy, or even a lesser known character could be a much stronger fit. You don't have to change it, but experimenting with different characters might open up more creative and unique directions. Some EXE ideas feel a little too similar, like they've been done before or they're just slight variations of existing ones. This doesn't apply to redesigns or reinterpretations of well-known EXEs, but when it comes down to the original concepts, too much similarity can make things feel repetitive or redundant. If you really want your EXE to stand out, it's worth digging into unexplored angles and themes that haven't been done to death. A lot of Sonic characters get misrepresented in these projects, usually not out of malice, but because of a lack of research or attention to detail. Or it's just because they're not actually the Sonic characters and it's the victims, but that's another thing. Taking the time to understand who these characters really are and how they function in the original universe can unlock new layers of meaning behind your horror concepts. Blending the canon personality with your own twist can alleviate the idea far beyond a simple retake. Storytelling matters, regardless of the medium. If you're telling a narrative, think about the stories that really stuck with you. What made the characters engaging? What emotional beats hit the hardest? Study those story structures and use what works for you. Applying that knowledge can help you create something that feels more compelling and personal. Victim designs deserve more attention too. Whether they're in universe or in-game characters, they should reflect the story and world they're a part of. Ask questions. What makes each victim unique? Why were they chosen? What do they fear? How are they different from one another? Do they even deserve what's happening to them? Taking time to explore these questions adds depth and variety to the narrative, and makes the horror feel more earned and impactful. Good character design, especially in EXE designs, works best when it goes beyond surface level creepiness. Too many fan versions just recycle the same bloody eyes and static grins without thinking what can actually be changed or different. But when you take the time to understand a Sonic character's personality, role, and design, and then twist that in a certain way, you get something beyond number #244373 bloody eye hedgehog. And it doesn't have to be Sonic. An EXE can be built from almost any Sonic character, even obscure or unexpected ones. If a different Sonic character is going to help express that idea more, then take the shot at it. What matters is something that connects back to who the character is, and not just what the character looks like. So, with all this stuff I've basically written for this video, I decided to try and put it to the test. It's essentially what I've been following for a while, but now this is essentially the video form of it, of my beliefs on it. And thus I've made some designs. Hopefully it shows how it all works. Overall, with all of the reviews and the advice I have, which you can take or leave, I hope this video was overall enjoyable. I just wanted to be fully known that you don't actually have to follow all the advice. Do what you want to do for your EXE, but all this is just suggestions and how I really see things. But till then, please take care, and I'll see you all next time. Adios!